really arose much enthusiasm at all among voters, they kind of picked a dark horse candidate. You know who else was a big-time dark horse candidate that you heard of? Bill Clinton, governor of lowly Arkansas, was an unbelievable dark horse candidate when he went against George H. Bush for the presidency. Nobody thought he had a shot. Okay, we'll get into that later. But dark horse candidate is someone who probably doesn't have a shot, but you never know. Okay, dark horse. It's a horse race. The horse that's not supposed to win, that has the big odds on him. Do you want to put your money on that, or do you want to go for the sure thing? You know, if you put your money on this one, it's 50-to-1 odds and he wins. Holy smokes, you know. That's what dark horse means. So James Garfield, a senator from Ohio, is going to be the Republican Party candidate for president. Now this is kind of interesting because they picked as his running mate a stalwart by the name of Chester A. Arthur. Now normally when we talk about who the vice presidential nominee is, what happens? Usually don't bring up the vice president too much, but if we do, what's probably going to happen? Something's going to happen to the president, right? So we'll talk about that. So Ohio Senator James Garfield will be the presidential Republican Party candidate, and he will name stalwart Chester A. Arthur as his running mate. Now the Democrats can't even get a break when they got bad candidates. You got to remember that the Democrats have lost the last 3 elections. And they choose a guy by the name of Winfield Hancock to be their candidate. This guy is an aging Civil War veteran. Nobody's even heard of the guy. Okay? So the Democrats, who are losers of the last 3 elections, are going to be losers a 4th time when they pick a Civil War veteran by the name of Winfield Hancock as their candidate. Now, when you have a dark horse candidate and someone no one knows, it's just going to be a close election or a blowout. It's going to be close because nobody really knows these people. So keep this in mind. There were 9,100,000 votes cast in this election. 9 mil. Oh, he's really doing well. All of them. Let's try this one. 9,100,000 votes were cast. Now, if you want to get an idea what that means, in the presidential election of 1960, there were, 63 million people voting. So we have less population. So 9,100,000 people voted in the election of 1880. Garfield wins by just 39,000 votes, popular votes. That's a slim margin. 0.004. What is that percentage? Is that less than 1%? Yeah. He wins in popular vote by less than 1% in the popular vote. Very close election. But we all know that popular votes and $1 will buy you what? Is that what pop costs now in the pop machine up there? $1.25. Popular votes don't mean much. In the Electoral College, Garfield had 214 electoral votes compared to Hancock's 155. As a result of that, James Garfield becomes the nation's 20th president. This guy right here. Anybody want to guess who this is?
Oh.
Chester Arthur. We'll talk about that.
I can.
Okay? All right, I'm going to give you a profile of James Garfield. I'm going to tell you some things about the new president. Okay? So James Garfield is our president as a result of the election of 1880. I'll tell you a little bit about him. Interesting character. He was born in Ohio on November 19th, 1831. James A. Garfield was born in Orange, Ohio on November 19th, 1831. And he was the youngest of 5 children. He was the youngest of 5 children. Garfield's father, Abram, A-B-R-A-M, died when he was just 2 years old. So he grew up without a father for the most part. So Garfield was the youngest of 5 children. and his father, Abram, died when he was just 2 years old. When he was just in his teens, he was hired by a cousin to drive a team of horses along the Ohio River. When he was just a teen, he was hired by one of his cousins to drive a team of horses along the Ohio River. And after working there for a short period of time, he got really sick and went home and he developed malaria. So as a teen, he went to work early. He was working for his cousin, driving a team of horses along the Ohio River. Worked for a short period of time, and had to return home because he had malaria. Well, he recovered, and he went to college after his high school years at a college called the Western Reserve Institute, now known as Hiram College. So after his recovery, got out of high school, he enrolled in the Western Reserve Institution, which was a college, now known as Hiram College. So he went to college. Well, he went to Hiram College for 3 years, and then he transferred to Williams College, which was in Williamstown, Massachusetts. So he leaves home after 3 years, and he transfers to Williams College in Williamstown, Massachusetts. That'll be you in a year. He graduates from Williams College in 1856, and guess what his first job is? He's a professor at Hiram College, teaching ancient languages and literature. So after his graduation from Williams College, he goes back to Hiram College and works as a professor, and he teaches classes in ancient languages and literature. And he was good. He was so good that in 1857, at the age of just 26, what they hired him to do? No, you're getting there. What job does Hiram College offer him at 26 years old? Hired. President. He's named president of Hiram College at the age of 26. And we're going to get to you there, Keller, because you're thinking.
Wait, what year did he graduate?
He graduated in 56, taught 1 year at Hiram College, and then they hired him to be the president of the college. Isn't that something? Yeah, 26. 26. Well, on November 11th of 1858, he marries Lucretia Randolph, who is the daughter of an Ohio farmer. On November 11th, 1858, he marries Lucretia Randolph, who was the daughter of an Ohio farmer, and they have 7 children. Now, that's kind of unfortunate because 2 of their 7 children died as infants. So they lost 2 children and raised 5. Now, getting back to Keller, Keller kind of made the pop that maybe he thought that James Garfield became president of Williams College, right? Actually, his son, Harry, became president of Williams College.
Wait, James Garfield's son?
Harry became president of Williams College. Kind of interesting that you said that, because he didn't become president, but his son did later. Well, what do you think Garfield did about 1860-ish? Served in the Civil War. And he advanced very quickly, as many did, and he left the military with the rank of Major General. So Garfield serves in the Civil War. He advances quickly, and when he leaves the Civil War, he's got the rank of Major General. What do you think he did after the Civil War that led him to where he is today? He entered politics. Okay? This is kind of interesting. Don't write these down, but just listen to me. He was elected to the Ohio State Senate in 1859, and he was elected to the House of Representatives representing Ohio in 1862. What catches you about those two things and dates? The state legislature is where you serve in the legislature of your own state. You're not a United States Senator, you're a state legislator. Mike Greer is a state legislator, okay? Mike Enzi is a U.S. Senator, difference. But what do you notice about that? He was elected to those two positions in 59 and 62. Well, think about the years. What was he doing at that time when he was elected? He was elected while serving in the Civil War. So he actually ran for these positions during the time he was serving in the Army during the Civil War. That's pretty interesting. Now let's talk about the House of Representatives. How long are their terms? Anybody know?
2 years.
2 years. He won re-election to the House 8 times. He was re-elected to the House of Representatives, no term limits, 8 times. And to make you just be really impressed, how do you think he voted in the impeachment trial of President Andrew Johnson? What did he do? Now he's not in the Senate, so what's he voting to do? Impeach him. And the Senate voted to convict him. So when it came to the House to decide whether they wanted to take him for impeachment, to impeach him, to accuse him of crimes, he voted guilty. So he voted to impeach President Johnson. Now the Senate was the one that voted whether they convicted him or not, but he voted to impeach him. Well, on July 2nd of 1881, while president, he decided to attend his 25th class reunion at Williams College. Okay? So as president, on July 2nd, 1881, Garfield decided to attend his 25th class reunion of Williams College. How did he travel in those days? No, a little more sophisticated than that. Wasn't flying though. How would a president get from place to place? What? Some train, railroad. So what he's doing on July 2nd, 1881 is he's walking through a railway station. And as he's walking through this reception room in this railway station, a stranger fired 2 pistol shots at him and cried out, "I am a stalwart and Arthur is president now." What was Arthur? Stalwart. So as he's walking through a reception room in a railway station, heading to his 25th class reunion at Williams College, which is in Massachusetts, a man comes near him, fires 2 pistol shots at him and yells, "I am a stalwart and Arthur is president now." 2 pistol shots. The assassin was a fellow by the name of Charles J. Guiteau. Charles J. Guiteau. He was immediately arrested and charged with the president's murder. Charles J. Guiteau. So your question has to be, where did what? Shot twice. Where did the bullets land, right? 1 bullet merely grazed his arm. 1 bullet just merely grazed his arm. Unfortunately, the second bullet lodged deep into his back, and surgeons couldn't even find the bullet. Remember, this is 1881, okay? So, 1 bullet grazes his arm, no problem. The second one lodges deep into his back, and surgeons cannot find it. And he lay near death for 80 days. with the bullet still near his spine. They could not locate it. So he lay suffering, dying for 80 days. Guess who tried to locate the bullet with this new electrical device he invented? Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone, actually came to Garfield's aid and tried to locate the bullet with an electrical device that he had invented. Tried to find it, to no avail. Could not find it. So inventor Alexander Graham Bell unsuccessfully tried to locate the bullet with an electrical device. He couldn't do it either. What killed him? Did the bullet kill him? Infection. Very good. You're right too, Tal, the lead. So Garfield remained pretty calm during those 80 days and pretty cheerful, but finally infection set in, and he died on September 19th, 1881. September 19th, 1881.
So, what if they would have just left him alone? Would he have lived?
Well, they pretty much did just leave him alone.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't find the bullet. They tried to find it, but they didn't cut in there.
no.
Yeah. Well, if you talk to historians, and you know this, did we have the X-ray machine then? No. Did we have modern antiseptics that would fight infection then? No. And historians tell you that if things would have been different, we'd have had an X-ray machine, we'd have had good antibiotics, he probably would have lived. But this wasn't the time. So he died in New Jersey. He had a seaside cottage there. That's where he died, in New Jersey. But where was he buried, do you think? Huh? Ohio. In Cleveland, Ohio. Yep. Now, we'll finish up today by telling you about the assassin, Charles Guiteau. Crazy son of a gun. He went to trial. And the guy acted like a nut, a madman the entire trial. And because of his actions, what does attorneys try to do? Make him innocent by reason of insanity. So they tried to get the courts to say, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He should be innocent by reason of insanity. And the trial took 10 weeks as they bantered back and forth about whether Guiteau was sane enough to be convicted of killing the president. Okay? So, they have a trial for 10 weeks. And when you go to trial and ask for a verdict, how long does it take for them to get a verdict in a normal trial, would you say? Huh? 2-3 hours. I mean, if it's a tough case, it might take 2-3 days. Because you have to get a consensus, right? This only took just took a little over an hour to decide. So when this thing went to verdict, it only took a little over an hour, and he was announced what? Guilty. Well, when he was stated guilty, he was sentenced to hang, which happened in 1882. They hung him. So he was found guilty by the jury, he was sentenced to hang, and did hang in 1882 for the death of James Garfield. Who assumed the presidency? Chester Arthur. Now this is kind of interesting. Just prior to him assuming the presidency, his wife died. And so, as a result, there was no first lady during the Arthur presidency because his wife died. Now, how much did Garfield and Arthur have in common? Really? Not much. But listen to this story. What was Arthur? Stalwart, which opposed all of the half-breed's policies, and he opposed Garfield's policies. But so you'd think that when he took over, what would he do? He'd change everything and reverse Garfield's policies. However, because of the fact that Charles Guiteau yelled his name after the shooting, that bothered Arthur the rest of his life. Can you imagine that? And as a result, Arthur did the opposite. He carried on the presidency as he believed President Garfield would have done. That really bothered him when he yelled, "I am a stalwart and Arthur is president now." That bothered him the rest of his life. And as a result, he chose to carry out the beliefs of President Garfield. When he did that, what do you think the stalwarts thought of him? That's exactly right. They called him a traitor. They actually called him that. And how did his political career end up? Okay? He wasn't quite as bad as Edmund G. Ross, but when he went against the stalwarts and did everything that Garfield asked to do in the presidency, his political career was over. And he did it because he was so haunted by the fact that Guiteau yelled his name when he shot the president. Okay? Very good. We'll continue on tomorrow with the election of 1884. We'll kind of get through this, and some of this is going to lead us to a war with Spain. So there's our first presidential assassination.